You play as yourself in Underworld Ascendant. You are plucked from modern-day Earth and deposited in this deeply immersive subterranean realm full of conflict and intrigue. It's the Stygian Abyss. It's this liminal space that exists between a few different dimensions, including the Underworld.
The original Underworld, the last that you saw of it, it was placed in what had been an inactive volcano. The volcano starts erupting, and there's a dimensional gate crashing around the volcano. Goodness knows what's going to happen, right? So we go from there to years later, and parts of that world, parts of other world have become interconnected and accessible to each other under some direction from Sir Cabiras, who's the character who was originally responsible for bringing the Stygian Abyss in the first game together.
Cabiras is a character who has faced similar great challenges like you, and he has been crushed by the weight of impossible standards, literally. He has paid the price for his time in the Stygian Abyss, and now he applies those same standards to you.
Well, our goals for gameplay are very system-driven, and we're trying to avoid having this highly scripted experience. A player's journey through the game still needs to have a kind of dramatic structure, right? And so you need game mechanics that are going to heighten tension over time, build to a climax, that the player can see what that state is, can read the impending danger and the game's central conflict, which in our case, is the threat of Typhon.
Who is a sort of primordial nightmare, is a nemesis of Zeus. You face this impossible challenge.
So part of what you need to do is orient yourself in the space, find the inhabitants here, make connections with them, and go from being a prisoner and outsider to a tourist and finally a native.
The factions are the ones who are hiring you out to do missions that advance their aims within the Stygian Abyss. The three factions in the game are the Expedition, the Deep Elves, and the Shamblers, who are a fungal hive mind. They are in a sort of Cold War conflict when you arrive within the Stygian Abyss. The Stygian Abyss itself was, I think, one of the first environments within a game that had a sort of sense of space and unique character, and I think went on to inspire many others, such as Rapture and Columbia and more. So it's really interesting for us, especially who've worked on some of those games, to kind of come back and take the learnings we've had from those and really expand the Stygian Abyss and make it unique and memorable and challenging.
I really like where we've landed with the look of the game. It's heavily influenced by our experience as tabletop gamers and the idea of miniature figures and miniature terrain. It's not trying to be like photorealistic. It's trying to be artistic, right? Where it's going for a specific style and a crafted style.
So thus the forms are a bit sort of large, in the same vein as you would see an old school Dungeons and Dragons art book, that sort of look.
The figures in the game suggest something about the form and scale of these miniature figures that we grew up playing with, and the whole environment around them also has this kind of somewhat crafted look to it.
He wanted to have large readable forms that can be visible to the player at any time during the game.
We're creating these sort of medieval structures that have to be rooted in some sort of logic so that the place feels real. And when we start building things up really high, we really have to think about how it's all being supported from underneath, and how it was built and why it was built this way. Some areas will have tunnels that have collapsed and rocks have sort of flowed into that area. And we have to be, and in order to tell that story visually, we want to make sure that the rigid shape of that tunnel is evident, and broken away. I'm thinking of the levels more as like play sets, so like a Castle Grayskull, sort of thing, where there's lots of opportunities for the player to sort of enact their own fantasies.
A lot of real-world architecture is about usability and accessibility, right? And the space needs to be, inviting and comfortable. And that's not what we want here, right? It needs to be, difficult, not impossible, but it's a space that, you are not. It's not your native environment, right? It's a challenging space.